Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Chalk Talk here in the DK Pittsburgh Sports Steelers YouTube channel. Just going to go over one play here today. Obviously, some of the most impressive stuff that we've seen throughout training camp and the preseason has been number 80 right here, Darnell Washington. He's been the best way I can put it is just a flat-out cheat code. If the Steelers ever get into the regular season and they're first and goal on the 2-yard line, they better just throw 3 fades in a row to Darnell Washington. He's going to catch one of them. It's just, it is becoming a near automatic thing. But this was not that. This is 19 yards out. And so I wanted to break down the play a little bit. Also look at just how Darnell can be used similarly to what we see here. So let's talk about play design really quick before we get into Darnell just being insane. One really cool thing about like formations like this, when you have the wing over here with the 2 tight ends there, and then you have 2 receivers over here. So this is a 2x2 formation, but it's not necessarily a balanced formation. Yes, it's 2x2, so you'd think balanced, but run strength to one side, passing strength over on the other side, right? I mean, your 2 receivers are both over here, and teams have to honor that, and Jaguars are showing like maybe this could be, man coverage, with the way those guys are lined up. They're not going to be, they're going to be in cover 3, but either way, if the ball is ran, the defense is most likely going to guess that it's going to be to this side, since that's the strength of the formation right there. So it's really good to do this because you end up manipulating guys like the deep safety. They almost have to shade to this side first because that's the passing strength, right? Especially since the Jaguars end up being in cover 3 here, this guy's going to drop deep, this guy's going to drop deep to cover the deep thirds on the outside, and then the safety is going to be dropping back here to cover this middle third. So this safety almost has to go in this direction just in case both guys run, any kind of deep routes. If you get like some sort of deep post and then that's followed by some sort of like go route over here, or if this ends up being like some sort of scissors or whatever, this safety has to respect the passing strength being on this side. So this side over here gets a little bit more of an afterthought, right? But either way, defenses still have to find out what's going on. And so whenever you get, both guys here coming out of their stances and running, this isn't just a normal flat route from Connor Hayward here playing as the number 1 on the outside. He's kind of like bending this out a little bit, which is going to force this deep defender to stay somewhat wide as initially both guys are running out, right? So both guys are running north initially. So this deep defender almost has to like play in between them. Right now, you're not really necessarily worried about this hook curl defender or this curl flat defender down here, especially the curl flat defender. The curl flat defender will be occupied by Connor Hayward. He's going to be taken out of the play. And Mason Rudolph is reading Darnell all the way here. This is absolutely the first read. Darnell is just going to run. He's going to bend this, and he's going to run up the seam. And then Rudolph is going to just try to put that over the top. All right, so that is the primary read here for Mason Rudolph. But a lot of when you hear Arthur Smith and other offensive coordinators, great offensive minds, talk about the importance of detail, having initially this right here, both guys running north out of their stances. This defender has to respect that. He can't, if this is just bent, if Connor Hayward here just bends this to the outside, this defender has no reason to respect this whatsoever. So he's going to then look at the only guy who's running north, which is going to be Darnell, which would make him play a little further this way, which would make this a much harder throw. What good offensive minds do when it comes to play design and using formations to your advantage, when you have a more condensed formation like this isn't the most condensed formation. Really condensed would be having these 2 receivers play like right here and right here. That would be a really condensed formation. Either way, this is still, in my opinion, a more condensed formation. When you do this, and then you have players who break outward like this, defenses have to worry about getting stressed horizontally, like, because when defenses see this type of condensed formation, and then they see any kind of player bouncing to the outside, or they see anything, defenses are afraid of getting beaten to the outside, because when you condense everything into the middle of the field, you lose leverage to the outside. So defenses will, when they see something like this, bending, again, this guy has to respect that. But obviously Hayward just kind of like bends this, and he kind of just stays out here. But it's long enough for this defender to be like, okay, well, never mind. I have to worry about number 80 running up the seam here. And by that point, it's already too late. And that's also important for the quarterback. Back foot hits right there. And then ball starts to get thrown about right there. Like, ball's getting separated. And Darnell's just getting behind the hook curl defender. So throwing this with anticipation is another part of this. Not waiting until 80 gets clear of this and then throwing it. By that time, the window is going to be closed. It's going to be far too tight. This defender is going to be breaking on that already. This hook curl defender could continue to get more depth. It's just going to be a much tighter window. That's why you have to throw it with anticipation. And again, notice what the deep safety is doing here. Because the passing strength is over on this side, he is going to initially shade this way. And that's all you need him to do. Rudolph doesn't even look the safety off. And you'll see that when we look at the end zone view. He doesn't even look the safety off. It doesn't even bother. Like, he's just going to trust that, hey, with both of these guys initially running out this way, the safety already kind of moved in this direction. It opens up the seam. And when we talk about cover 3, when we talk about, deep thirds here, right? Those are the deep. Actually, let's just do it this way. When we talk about deep thirds here, and then we talk about, the 4 zones underneath, you got hook curl here and there, and then you got curl flat here, curl flat here. When you have like that is cover 3. But in these deep thirds, right, where are the weaknesses? Well, one of the weaknesses is right here. They're both right there, and which are the seams. So look at this. You get the safety to move over in this direction. This outer third defender, deep third defender, has to respect Connor Hayward just initially. It's enough to open up this window right here. Washington gets there. Rudolph, again, throws with anticipation, puts it over the top of the hook curl defender. And when you have somebody like Darnell Washington, who is insanely tall, the biggest human being on this team, the largest, we're talking about like offensive lineman, defensive lineman. This guy is the largest human being on this team in terms of height and weight. And yet he is just running up the seam here. And you can just put it up. Nobody's getting that. Nobody's getting a hand on that ball other than Darnell Washington. You can throw this up, and this defender does not stand a chance of getting a hand on the ball. And then just right up the seam. Boom. Again, if you can design plays like this, if teams are going to play soft cover 3 against you, like spot drop cover 3 against you, run this stuff all the time. That'd be easiest way to attack downfield, attack the seams. Touchdown. Now, reminder, just as Aaron Rodgers said, defenses show very vanilla defenses in the preseason. The Jaguars are not going to be running this spot drop cover 3 all season long. This is as easy as it gets, and this is why you don't take a lot of stock in the preseason, because this is very basic cover 3. This is nothing that's going to be overly crazy. Again, Rudolph, he is staring down Washington the entire way. Normally on a play like this, if you really want to make sure that deep safety that's back there that we can't see, if you want to make sure that he shades over this way, as soon as the ball snapped, look this way just to initially get the safety to move that way, then look back and then look at Washington. he's probably glancing to see what the safety's doing, to see what the defenders are doing. Okay, it's cover 3. I know I've got Washington up the seam. But again, great job of ball being separated. I mean, so we get the ball pat, ball separated there. And again, remember, throwing motion always starts where the ball begins to separate. We're not going right there. We're talking about when the quarterback decides to actually throw the football. By the time that happens right there, Washington's just barely on the other side of 23 there. So again, throwing with anticipation, throwing that up over the top. Again, nobody is getting to that ball. Even if number 3 did not bite on the Hayward route at all, and he's right on his back, is that corner going to get a hand on the ball? Absolutely not. Even if he's like right up on his back, the only thing he could hope to do at that point is create enough contact to separate Washington from the ball. But again, Washington's so much bigger. I mean, you have to have like a safety running downhill at him and like level him in order to hope separate him from the ball, or just Washington drops it. But he is showing great hands right now. He's running these really crisp routes for a man of his size. He's never going to be the most precise route runner just because of how large he is. He is easily over 300 pounds. I don't care what he's listed at. He is easily over 300 pounds. And I know for a fact that last season he did play at over 300 pounds. So this dude's a cheat code right now. Seriously. Like, it's crazy with what they're going to be able to do with him. And then we're not even talking about Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. So when we talk about tight ends being able to be used in the passing game this year, they've got 3. And even then, Connor Hayward's had some really good moments. They really have 4 tight ends that can all be real threats in the passing game. And the other great part about Darnell Washington, he is a phenomenal blocker, especially for a tight end. He might be one of the best blocking tight ends in the league, but he can also do this stuff too. Again, cheat code. Anyway, that'll be it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll be back for one more this week tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Friday. And then after that, when we come back on Monday, we'll have a whole nother game. Hopefully the NFL will release the all 22 on that one a little quicker. If not, we'll do another one from this game. There can always be more tape to break down from the Jaguars game. But hopefully by the time we come back on Monday, we'll have fresh tape from the Buccaneers preseason game. So either way, hope you guys enjoyed this. Catch you on the Flippity Flip. We'll see you later.